Welcome to the Sober Strong podcast. I have Lindsay here who has been sober since 2009, and her journey is one of rigging Jackery sheet cycles.
Hi, Megan.
All right, so give me a little bit of background on you. So you said you started drinking at 13 years old.
Mm-hmm. Do you want that story?
I do.
Okay. So yeah, I started drinking. Well, I think maybe back up a tiny bit. I had sworn off alcohol completely before I ever even drank. My family has a long history of alcoholism, and there are members of my family that were really honest with me about that from a very young age. I had like a substantial education about alcoholism and addiction. And I was like, I'm never going to drink. Maybe in like dare or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I took that pledge and I meant it. Like I really did mean it, which becomes quite the theme, right? And so fast forward a few years, and my best friend, we're still best friends today, and I got into her parents' liquor cabinet and we got drunk. And I remember, like, what kind of stands out to me about this is from the very first time I drank, I had consequence. There was a friend that I had, and he and I had sworn, we both had alcoholic parents, and we had sworn that we would never drink. And like me drinking was like not good for that friendship, and he was really upset with me, right? And I remember like apologizing and like not wanting to hurt that friendship, and it did anyways. And obviously, like for me, that consequence wasn't enough, and there were plenty of other consequences that weren't enough to make me not want to drink again.
That's a tough one. Mm-hmm. So you stop? Did it completely end the friendship?
I mean, slowly. I mean, obviously, we drank together in our 20s. So I don't think that it was, you know what I mean? Like, in that moment, it felt big. Like, long-term life stuff, it really wasn't that big. But, yeah.
Wow. So you just kept going. Did it become a problem in high school?
So from the get, I was a blackout drinker.
So you're a retired blackout artist.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely retired. I hung that hat up. I like to say that my privileges were revoked is probably like a more accurate statement. So through high school, I mean, the group of people that I hung out with, we all drank a lot. We always partied on the weekends, and I always took it too far. I always blacked out. I always made decisions that sober me would never make. And yeah. So high school was like just kind of a blackout, I guess. I almost didn't graduate high school.
Oh, wow.
And not because I'm an idiot, because I really didn't apply myself, and drinking was far more important to me. Like, I remember I had a Spanish final that was really important that I really needed to pass in order to literally graduate. And I went out the night before and didn't show up to that class. And thankfully for myself, like I have enough charm and charisma to kind of get me through those moments. And I was able to graduate on time. And yeah, I mean, important to note that through my high school years, my dad's alcoholism was like on a run, and he was in and out of jail, in and out of treatment. Just a lot of like really sad, hard times during that time. So yeah.
So is he still around?
No, he sadly passed away when I was 21 I say of alcoholism, he also had cancer. What kind of, it was his lifestyle that ultimately killed him. And yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That like gave me goosebumps.
There's another aspect of this disease, codependency, that, I really wanted to be I remember wanting to be my mom in this situation, right? Like hoping I was an alcoholic and hoping I was just codependent. But one thing I learned while one of my siblings was in treatment, it was so funny. I went to this treatment center with my little brother to, support him. And I'm like sober at this point, like 8, 9 years sober. Like I have some time, right? And I go to this treatment center and I find out in no uncertain terms that I'm there for me and like to deal with my own Al-Anon codependency issues. And it was such a valuable weekend for me in learning more about that part of how the whole like family disease works and how the like kind of everyone's going to get better when someone changes and or not, like somebody has to be the one to change though. And then are the other moving pieces that keep that disease going to change or not? And yeah.
Okay, sorry that so much I just like a lot of feels in there. So let's back up to Al-Anon.
Mm-hmm.
It's played a huge role in your sobriety.
Or
I mean, like somewhat, like
kind of the joke in our family is when Lindsay stops meddling, they'll get sober. Because I was the one who got sober and stayed sober. And like, gosh, I'm gonna get emotional, but watching my siblings struggle really bad, like far more than I had to, and not be able to get it was like really, really hard for me. And yeah, so the work that I've done in Al-Anon absolutely helped me stay sane through that. And I did a lot of also insane shit associated with that. And also when you're raised in that sickness, those things feel like love and they look like love, right? And like it doesn't seem insane to behave that way, like paying bills for them, bailing them out of hard situations, letting them live with me, not talking to my husband about money that I'm spending on them. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
so you're that enabler. Like
in those relationships, I absolutely have been. Everyone's sober today. And
really?
everyone's doing good today. And like, yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. It's really, really cool. But there were a lot of years that weren't like that,
Yeah. I have goosebumps. So you broke the cycle and people slowly followed, but it was healing ourselves along the way.
It really wasn't me that cycle. We've actually, I mean, I'm going to say that it was, if we didn't know that there was a cycle to break, then you know what I'm saying? Like, I really feel like having some sort of education about alcoholism from a young age was a pivotal thing for me and for, the other people in my family that have gotten sober. And, sorry, where was I going with that?
Who broke the cycle?
Okay, so it was actually the youngest, the baby. She'll always be the baby. She's 30, but she got in a lot more trouble a lot faster. Like things took her out way faster than they did for me, and she ended up in the juvenile drug court program here in Olympia. And so she's 17, so that makes me 22, 23, which that's when I got sober. And so they had like these family group things. And I would go to this family group with her. And it was kind of like, am I going to drink or go to family group? Like that type of a thing. And then I was inspired by these young people like changing their lives. And she was going to NA at that time. And I kind of checked out some of those meetings. And there are some cute boys in those meetings. Which is important when you're 23 and single, but true. see some tapes. Um, so anyways, so I wasn't hearing, it wasn't resonating for me really, but like the overall idea of it was resonating.
So she started the cycle.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of our introductory into 12 step and recovery, really.
Man, I just really want to dive into these generational cycles because that's just kind of what we're dealing with. You're right. Like you don't know that it's a generational cycle until you're out of it and looking back. Like when you're in it, it's just life. And then because I grew up, surrounded by alcohol. One of the dads actually died of alcoholism. And several people that I know actually growing up, when I think back, like somebody's cirrhosis of the liver. And I mean, it's just such a sad disease. And it takes one person to start taking those steps in healing, I think. And I've never personally been to Al-Anon, but I really feel like that's probably something that we should probably start doing. And can you tell me what you've taken from Al-Anon to help heal you and maybe help others?
Al-Anon is so different than AA. So different. So, gosh, what have I taken from Al-Anon? I think more than anything that I didn't, like they have like a slogan in there, I didn't cause it, I can't change it, and something else about that, which like intellectually I know, right? But actually having like a support person, a sponsor to bounce things off of like the things I'm thinking about doing to help was super valuable, specifically in a time with like one of my siblings that it's so hard to let people fail and to let people find their bottom. And my AA sponsor always said, when it hurts bad enough, you'll change. And to watch people have to, when it has to hurt more for them than it did for you is really hard. So I would just say that from Al-Anon, really, it's boundaries. Like it's learning those boundaries with myself. And I mean, it's really affected more than just my relationships with alcoholics, like it's really affected the relationships with a lot of my family. And yeah.
So you and your siblings are all sober?
Well,
for the most part.
Maybe the three of us with the biggest problems.
Okay. Well, hey. I mean, so somebody's a normie in your family and the rest of you were shit.
Oh, so the normies exist in my family, but everyone's okay. Everyone is okay. Everyone is thriving and employed. No one is maybe going to jail today. Like everyone is okay. 3 of us are actively in recovery, and like that is our lifestyle.
Yeah. Wow. Good for you. So when did you stop and what was your why and your how?
Yeah. Did I 30 minutes for this question?
As long as you want.
The year is 2009. So, January of 2009, I kind of recognized like, hey, this drinking is becoming a problem. The blacking out was honestly like what was really scaring me. I didn't know how much I would be drinking for that to happen. And I was like, oh, I can't drink red drinks. I can't drink liquor. I'm only going to drink beer, trying to arrange my drinking to not have that happen. So January of that year, I was like, I'm not going to drink this month. And I did not make it through that month.
So you did dry January.
I mean, tried 10 days of January. And we ended up I was the sober driver the night that I drank. What a shock. And we were at some bar. And I mean, the next thing I knew, I was blacked out and making bad choices. You know what I mean? So that happened. And then, gosh, it was one heck of a spring and summer. I think it got warm early that year in Washington. And yeah, I was living in a party house with some friends. And I worked at a coffee stand that was walking distance. Like I really didn't. And there was a gas station there too. Like I didn't really have to leave where I was. I didn't have to drive. Like I had quite the little like cocoon of just bad decisions. So anyways, so one night one of our friends had bought a house that was like kind of far away, maybe like 45 minutes away. And she was the first one to like buy a home. Right. And I wasn't driving that night. Some dude that I met at my coffee stand was my driver. And I think we had a couple of other friends with us. And by the time we got to the house, I was blacked out. And my friend wouldn't talk to me the next day, like my friend that had bought the house. And I didn't know why. And to this day, I don't know why. We have like reconciled that friendship. And she didn't need to tell me why when like that friendship came in again, kind of just a wink from the universe. But she got sober for a while, and we actually had the same August 7th sobriety date, which I thought was really interesting. But so that happened, and it really affected me. Like I was like, gosh, like that's a friendship that matters a lot to me. And like she had, like knew my family and like was just someone that I really cared deeply about. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to drink. Well, no, that's okay. There was one more a little far before that. I had gone out with a friend and I was trying to not drink. And this is my last drink moment, right? We went to the Ram. I had a mojito and I drank that, and I was absolutely obsessed with drinking more. And that was my jumping off place of like, if I drink, all I want to do is drink more. Yeah. And I know that. So what happens if I don't drink? Like, can I be okay and not drink? The answer to that is no, because drinking is my solution to everything in life. And so that was like my jumping off place of like, okay, I'm serious. I'm not going to drink for a year. And I meant it. I really, really, really meant that. And getting to that year, gosh, I don't think I went to, this is kind of a cute story. So I was working at a different coffee stand, and this guy had come by, and my sister had recognized that he had like the AA symbol on his car. And he was like flirting with me or whatever, and was like, what are you going to do this weekend? And I kind of knew that he was sober. And I just threw out there like, oh, I don't know. I don't drink. And he was like, oh, like you don't drink or you're trying not to drink? And I was like, yeah, probably the latter. And, so that weekend we went to coffee, and while we're at coffee, he's like, I think this girl doesn't really like need to be on a date necessarily. She needs help, And so he like took me to the Alano Club downtown Olympia where we live, and like introduced me to the Alano Club. And then we like went out and got dessert and just became really good friends after that. But we are married. Oh, I love that. And I was 2 years sober when we started dating and 3 years sober when we got married. But I just think that speaks loudly to his character. And like, he wasn't the most healthy guy then anyways, but neither of us were, right? So anyways, he takes me to the Lotto Club. I had also, the boss that I had at that time was sober, but whatever. She was an NA and she drank. And like, I didn't know that like, you can't really do that. You know what I mean? Like to me, it was whatever. So anyway, she was like, you're not an alcoholic. You don't have a problem. But her sister was an alcoholic. And her sister was like, sure, I'll take you to a meeting. So she took me to a meeting here in Olympia called South Bay Serenity. And it was a speaker meeting. And that was like, I think that was like my real first AA meeting. And I go to South Bay Serenity, like it's my religion. I go there every single Sunday night. I have for almost 15 years. And that's where I met my first sponsor. So do you want me to kind of go into that experience as well? Like what?
Yeah.
Okay. So I go to South Bay Serenity. I like get kind of plugged in, and this woman shares, I don't even remember what she shared, but it resonated for me. And I ran up to her after the meeting. I was so full of fear. Like if there is one thing that really encompasses like fear ruled my life. I was absolutely terrified of people. I was terrified of everything. And so I met this woman, and she was like, sure, yes. I ran up to her. I'm like, do you sponsor people? And she's like, yeah, I do. Let's go to coffee. So we go to coffee. And while we're at coffee, I'm like, there are absolutely things I'm never telling this nice woman. I can help you that right now. So, but of course, the steps are in the order that they're in for a reason. And it ended up being just this beautiful relationship with her. Like I met her every single Tuesday. Whatever she told me to do, I did. And that's when like my life started to change significantly. And I'll just kind of fast forward. Like I got to that year mark, right? Like that was the goal, was a year sober. And my life was significantly better at a year than it was before I was sober. So I just kept going. I always say I didn't mean to stay sober this long. I think this it's my lifestyle, right? Like it's just what I do now, and it's normal to me. And like I'm able to play that tape through of like if I drink today, it's not drinking today. Like it's making that decision long term. And I know that about myself, and knowing that has kept me sober through times that maybe a drink does sound good, right?
Yeah. You are the third person that has mentioned like playing the tape.
Oh, it's a really nice tool.
Yeah. And I guess
Some people say it doesn't work for them. It works for me.
yeah, well, and I never like intentionally did it, but looking back, I was like, gosh, I'm constantly doing it because I
Yeah.
don't ever want to do it again.
Well, and I mean, like, even as simple as, okay, if I drink right now, tomorrow I'm going to be hungover, and I'm not going to do the things that I said I was going to do. And I'm not going to be the mom I want to be. And I'm not going to, like all of those things just start coming to my mind. So it's not like an intentional, like, I'm going to play this tape through. It's just like something that actually kind of happens for me now.
But I never really heard it until I did a podcast with Margie a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap, I've been doing that the whole time. And I never really like thought about it.
That's kind of funny. You know how they talk about like the spiritual toolkit laid at your feet? I was like, I don't think I got it. The longest time. And then I was like, wait, I have things I consistently rely on,
Yeah, exactly. So what did you do in the beginning to overcome your cravings and urges?
I was busy, honestly. Like I had the sponsor that was super into service, and like from early on, that was like what I was up to in AA. And yeah, I would say honestly, I just got busy, and I surrounded myself with other sober people. Like there was a group of us, like younger sober people, that we just did everything together. It was so much fun, honestly. Like we had the best time. We were like going out of town to meetings, and my sister and I were both sober at the time. And we had a great time.
So
maybe some sober boys kept me sober for
hey, whatever keeps you
honest. If we're being honest, I know that they say not to date in your first year. And I think that is a wonderful suggestion for most people. And it's not my experience. So whatever. It takes what it takes. I'm sober today.
Well, hey, fast forward, you married one and you have a child with him.
I do.
And from what I've heard through the grapevine, you own your own coffee shop now?
I do.
Awesome. So all these coffee like places that you worked with, and you met your husband at one, and now like you run your own. And for those that are in Washington, what is it called?
Oh, it's called Hillbilly Beans. It's in Little Rock, Washington, south of Olympia.
I love that, Hillbilly Beans. Awesome. Yeah, because I have followers all over, and a lot of
Oh, yeah.
PNW ones too. So
Come meal belly beans. I love making cup of coffee.
awesome. So were you doing this like you did it just for yourself? Like there was nobody like saying like, "Hey, you need to do this," or no law. You did it for yourself.
I definitely did for myself. I did get in a little bit of trouble with the law. I think I think that was more around I'm trying to think if it was pot or alcohol. But like no real consequences from that. Like no one demanded that I go seek help or anything like that. Yeah, no, it was definitely for myself and just not wanting to live in um the like miserable headspace that I was in, honestly. And when you watch someone um die really slowly of alcoholism and you watch them throw everything away when they have so much to live for, and it's someone that you love, you know, like, and someone that you know loves you. Like I never was like, oh, I know that if my dad could have quit drinking, he would have quit drinking, you know? And like it controlled his entire life. And watching the progression of that from a young age to, I mean, he died when he was 49. Like
Wow.
I'll be 39 next week or next month. And the thought of that is like baffling to me, you know? So to watch the progression in someone else and like have the education of knowing that like that's how it ends, you know? Like if you're a real alcoholic, like it doesn't end well. And it takes varying degrees of time for people, but it will kill you. And I don't want to die like that. And I don't want the people that I love to watch me die like that.
I mean, that wraps up the whole entire podcast for me. Joking. No,
I mean,
that is
you know
so
what's
true.
coming,
Like
you know what's coming
oh
to
my
my
God.
heart to share right now is so I wanted a daughter a long time before I had my daughter. I was 33 when I had her. We got married when I was 26. I would have been fine having her years before that. But I couldn't get pregnant. And when I did get pregnant, I couldn't stay pregnant. And it wasn't until I went on this, it was this really cool, it was for female entrepreneurs, just like a weekend retreat thing. And on that retreat, we did some past life meditation or not meditation, hypnosis. And it was a powerful healing experience for me and had nothing to do with business ownership. It had everything to do with my deep desire to be a mom and the things that were holding me back from that, which weren't physical, like they were mental and emotional. And the blocks that I couldn't break through because I was so afraid that I was going to mess her up in the same way I had been messed up. And that I like what really came through for me that weekend was you're not your parents' mistakes. And like having the opportunity to have this little girl who never has to see either of her parents drink and that I get to like show up for her in such a different way than I was shown up for. Not that my parents didn't love me. My parents loved me tremendously. And like they absolutely did the best that they could with the tools that they had and the resources that were available to them. And like I want to do better for her. And for my stepkids. I have to like plug them too. But I mean, that's a different scenario. Because I'm sober, I got to be a stepmom to them, right? But because I'm sober, I got to experience like becoming a mom myself. And I know that that work had to be done before that could have happened. I remember sitting in an AA meeting, I don't know, 7 months pregnant, like pre-pregnant, and just sobbing, like, with that deep knowing that like she would never have to go through what I had to go through, you know? And it's because of recovery. It's because of the journey that she gets to live a different way than I did, you know?
Yeah. No, I feel like you're speaking a lot of like my life as well. But I didn't get my kids had to witness some things, but going forward, like we get to be the parents that we needed as children. because
Absolutely.
alcohol's not involved.
Yeah.
And those boundaries are hard, I feel. I mean, have you had to set boundaries to where it's uncomfortable with family?
Um, my mom and I have done a lot of work on our relationship, and there's like other things that play into that. Um, I have not had to cut anyone out. I've been able to navigate. Um, I went to a counselor not that long ago, like specifically around this subject, and she's older than me, like she's probably my mom's age, and she offered just kind of some perspective that I asked, I said, can I have your opinion? Not like, stop fixing me. And I just want your opinion as a human being. And she said something to the degree of like, when it's family, sometimes outside of things like being actually harmful, like we have to look past things that maybe aren't ideal for us and accept that those people are who they are too. And like, yeah. So that really helped me just let go of, yeah, the not everything is going to be my way all the time, and that's okay. And I don't have to cut people out because they won't do things my way. Like that's kind of insane.
Right. So there's just hard boundaries, right? Like strong ones.
Right. But
And
but in like really loving ways. Like it doesn't, I guess I think for me, boundaries was so hard because it feels to me that a boundary has to be like this, like iron fist, and it really doesn't. Like there are kind ways to set boundaries and to like say what you need to say.
Mhm. So how do you go around them, like you setting that boundary, but them taking it as an attack?
Oh, so my sponsor, first of all, the way that someone accepts something isn't about me. It's about them and the way that they're perceiving the situation. I thought you were going a different direction with this question. I thought you were going to say, what do you do when they break the boundary? And my sponsor always says, oh, it's not their power. It's not their responsibility to hold the boundary. That's yours. I'm like,
Ooh.
perfect. That's really fun for me.
I look back and I always said like I didn't realize I had a problem until I didn't realize I had a problem until I had a problem. Like when I quit drinking,
Right.
when you're in the drinking groove, you don't realize you have a problem and then you quit and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I had a problem."
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh.
Oh, not everyone blacks out recreationally, like all of
My
the
gosh.
time. Weird.
That was the type of like drunk that I started getting, and it started like panicking me. I'm like, why can't I even have? I can't even drink a quarter of what I used to drink, and I would be blacked out and can't remember anything. I was like, I think this is my sign of like I should probably quit drinking for good. But
I remember passing out in a bar and that really scaring me. Thankfully, like I always had friends and I was always out with friends. And like people looked out for me, but what if I didn't? Like, what if I
yeah,
was there alone and that happened? Like, what could have happened to me?
yeah.
And there
Are
were
we?
plenty of moments that were like, what could have happened to me in the short time that I drank?
Yeah, I was the same way, and I got really lucky up until a couple years ago. My drinking finally caught up with me, but yeah. So
Did you get the nudge from the judge?
no, it was something
Okay.
more. Yeah, it was something that happened to me.
Yeah.
But um, went all my years in drinking, and put myself in some pretty shitty situations.
Yeah.
Never had this happen to me ever, but
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Growing away from it and
Yeah.
moving on. But um, so what advice would you give to someone who is thinking about quitting drinking and but feels unsure or scared?
Oh, so we all feel unsure and scared.
Right?
Yeah, like you're giving up like your best friend. Like if I think about it like that, like if I think about I have a relationship with alcohol and like I'm severing that relationship. I would say do it scared and give it a fair chance. Because like it's going to be really uncomfortable and it's not going to be fun to give that up. And also like accept the help that is available because there's so much help available. And I feel like a lot of the time people just feel like they have to do this alone. And like that, I talk about this a lot in meetings. I could have drank for a whole lot longer. And recovery is not just for people that drink themselves like to the absolute bottom. Like anyone can be in recovery. If you have a problem with alcohol and you need like desire help, really, like that's what it's there for. Like that's what it's not full. You don't have to reach a certain point for them to be like, oh yeah, you can get sober. You know, like anyone can say, I have the desire to stop drinking and like be curious about that and accept the help that is available in 12 step. And I'm also not saying that 12 step is the only way to get sober. That hasn't been true for everyone in my life. But I can tell you it worked for me and it works for a lot of people that I know. So yeah, I would say do it scared and give it a fair chance. Like I'm talking like a year, because it's really uncomfortable and, it's okay to be uncomfortable, really.
Well, that's where you grow, is being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Nobody grew in comfort.
No.
So,
Still true.
so you said there's so many resources that can help, but what if somebody in my shoes is like, well, Megan doesn't offer to help us. It's like, I never offer to help anybody. Everybody just comes to me and engages, and that's how I help people. Is they came to my channel, and I helped them through my channel. I'm not going to go up to individuals and be like, "Oh, do you need help?"
So first of all, I think every newly sober person is like, that one needs help. I'm going to go save this person.
Right. Just get on my train.
I know I did. It's like, I was like, oh, I've got more people that need this help. And you know, you didn't want that help? All of those people.
Yeah.
I was seeking help in that time. So, yeah, I guess what's coming to my brain is just attraction rather than promotion. And sometimes you have to help yourself. And what I mean by that is like showing up in places that you're uncomfortable, putting your hand out, raising. Oh my gosh, I didn't go to AA until I was like 90 days sober. So I really missed out on like this key time that I see newcomers have of like, are there any newcomers in the room under 30 days? Like that is such an incredible time to build community. And that's why they're asking if there's anyone with under 30 days. It's so that the people that want to help you and are available to help you will seek you out after the meeting, and they will. Like 100% of the time, someone's going to come up to you, if not a lot of someone's, and offer help. Even like not everyone's going to be your sponsor, but you can also just have friends or like a person that you call one time. Like, you know, like I think about my journey and just all of the people that have been present for me in the time that, yeah, I've been sober.
I've had this one girl, she lives in New Zealand, and I know she's going to watch this, but she gets to a certain point in her sober journey and then starts drinking again. But she'll message me and be like, can I just message you whenever I need so it keeps me accountable? I'm like, yeah. So that's like, she's reaching out for help. Mm-hmm. And it's like, those are the people when they come to you and ask you for help, that's the help. I mean, because that's when they're like, they're seeking it. That makes sense what I'm trying to say.
And I feel like oftentimes when you're like newly sober, you think that you're inconveniencing people, and rest assured you are not inconveniencing people. You actually might be saving their life. And like never rob someone else the opportunity to help you. And I don't mean that just in sobriety either. You know what I mean? Like how good do you feel when you help someone? Other people feel the same way when they help you, right? And like robbing yourself of that vulnerable moment to say like, I need help, and for them to say, oh my gosh, I can totally help you do that. Like that's special.
Yeah. I always say that they helped me. Like they help me on a daily because they're my community. Like I
Yeah.
created this like following, and so, and I always tell them like you're never like bothering me. You can message me anytime
Right.
because I love helping people. But yeah, like the people have to absolutely ultimately want to start.
Absolutely.
And you can't go slap their
Their
hand and be like,
chance. Give it a fair chance. Like of course the first few days suck. Like duh.
first
Yeah.
few days, first few weeks,
First
first,
months.
yeah. I mean,
There's been some rougher, times in there.
yeah, nobody said it was going to be easy, but pick your hard. I mean, getting sober is hard, but living as an alcoholic is harder.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
How many positives have came? I mean, I guess you were one of the lucky ones that got to quit in your early 20s. Like, you didn't have to be that drunk parent. Well, you chose not to be that drunk parent and you chose to better yourself at a younger age. Give me something for my younger audience that like can keep helping inspire them. Like, what do you feel was like so beneficial stopping in your early to mid 20s versus like in your 30s?
Right. I guess like what's coming to my brain is just that my life isn't at all like even the dream I had for my life in my like before I got sober, um, just what I'm living currently like far exceeds that. And I remember, I mean, probably before I was even 30, and not even my dogs had seen me drunk, right? Like, the foundation of my life was built on sober decisions, and like that's really cool and really powerful, right? Like, um, yeah, that I guess it's the foundational stuff that I think you kind of rob yourself of if you're making like big life decisions, who you're marrying, where you're living, the career that you're choosing, like all of those things. If you're basing those things around a lifestyle that you're drunk all the time, like maybe you're going to make different decisions. Not to say that like all of my decisions have been super solid and I'm just like, but I do think that I have a really beautiful life. And yeah,
You still have fun.
absolutely I still have fun. I have like this a great group of girlfriends in sobriety that like we do fun things together. We have tattoos together.
Really?
Yeah, we have these little cactus tattoos that we got in Sedona last spring. And we're going to the Sand in My Boots tour in Alabama in this coming weekend.
Sand, like Morgan.
Sand in My Boots. It's in Morgan Wallen. It's a 3-day music festival on the
Can I join?
actually it's sold out. So
It's always sold out.
but I sent it to the group chat and the group chat said hell yeah. So like it's just honestly though, I'll speak to that a little bit. I did not find my people in AA for a long time. Like I felt like I was on the outside. Like I had connections, but I didn't have like friends, like really good girlfriends. It took me a long time to find that and to build that. And having that now is like I can't even describe to you like the value that has for me. And rest assured, girls, I'm coming for you, and you're going to speak on here too. But because they're going to watch this, to have those relationships in sobriety is really cool. And so I would just encourage anyone that if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, everyone has community and I don't, start showing up in the places that you're uncomfortable. Start showing up to the places that you're invited, even though you're afraid. It was really like through those experiences for me that I started to build closer relationships with people that I had desired to have relationships with. It just hadn't, I was too fearful, honestly, I think is what it really comes down to.
I feel like that's another huge topic is friendships. And I've been talking to my husband a lot about this lately. And it's like friendships through sobriety, I feel like are more meaningful because you're not drunk when you meet and your friendship isn't based on when are we getting together to go get drunk, or we're not escaping our life together. We're actually living like, with a purpose and meeting each other. And it's more genuine, I think.
Yeah. We do say to each other all the time, thank God we didn't drink together.
Yes. Oh my gosh. There's so many girls that I do a podcast with, and I was like, oh my gosh, if we would have drank together.
The
Right. And I mean, because I have these sisters, they each came on, and I texted one of the sisters, and I'm like, oh my gosh, your sister and me. And she was like, no. And it's amazing. Like, we can all literally be like BFFs.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just like finding your community, finding your people through sobriety is super key, because
we dressed up as the Spice Girls at our AA event and we slayed. We won best group costume.
Really? See, that's so awesome.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture. It's really cute.
Yes. So you have a good solid group of friends, and you all have been on this journey together?
So I mean, with varying degrees of sobriety. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So you've met them
In the way.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And do you go to just a female group?
Never. I do have a women's meeting that I go to on Friday nights here called Broad Highway, which I think is such a cute name. But no, the South Bay Serenity, that's my home group. That's a co-ed meeting, and I generally go to co-ed meetings.
So you being sober for so long, you are still working your sobriety every week.
Like, it's my lifestyle, right? So like, absolutely, there's been times that maybe I'm not as active, but I always have a service commitment of some kind, usually at my home group. I also, I'm going to shamelessly plug our little event that we have here. It's called the Capital Jamboree, and I've served on the committee at the committee level, and I currently am the board treasurer for that thing. So having service work like always kind of keeps me commingled, but really I hit a really low spot, probably around, I'm going to say a year, like 7 or 8, like somewhere in that. And I called a friend of mine in the program and I said, like, is this it? Like, this is life sober. I don't really want to do this. Like, I don't really want to have to go to meetings to feel normal. Like, I just want to live my life. Like, I don't want to put so much effort to just feel okay. And he said, you're not sponsoring people. And he called me out, and he was right. And like, I think that it was fear that was holding me back from that as well, right? Because what if I screw someone up? But like, that's insane. And like, leaning into that part of the program of like mentoring other women and like really putting my hand out and creating those relationships breathed new life into my sobriety. And like, every Saturday morning I go to a meeting at 7. I meet a sponsee after that. Every Sunday before my evening meeting, I usually meet a sponsee before that. And like, like, I'm plugged in that way. So maybe it's not always about me anymore. Like, maybe it's about being there for other people. And but yeah, like, recovery is still a very I would even say daily part of my life. And I like it like that, is the truth. And when I'm on the edges, I don't feel as fulfilled and purposeful in my life. And like, what a gift that getting sober gives me a sense of purpose and a sense of, meaning.
So I've had negative comments about, doesn't talking about drinking make you want to drink more? And I've always said, no, me talking about drinking and being here on my YouTube channel helps keep me sober, because you're plugged in.
Yeah. I think I actually had a conversation about this recently, because someone was saying that a family member of theirs was like, well, you're going to those meetings and you're saying I'm an alcoholic, and you're just speaking that into existence over and over and over again. And I think that kind of falls into the same line of things that you're talking about, that people get hung up on that and forget that, first of all, that's the way that we all are connecting with each other. And that's how we're identifying, like, hey, we have this common thing, right? Like, it's not like, oh, I'm an alcoholic. It's just like, hey, me too. Like, I'm also an alcoholic. And like, that's the glue that holds us together. And I mean, I'll be honest, there's sometimes that I'm like, what's the little meme thing that's like, did I really drink myself so much that I have to sit in this room and talk about it? Like, I have moments that feel like that for sure. But at the end of the day, recovery isn't really about drinking.
Right.
And like, drinking is what got me there. And having tools to live a successful life that hopefully doesn't hurt as many people is the reason that I stay, and the sense of purpose, you know?
Yeah. So you're a sponsor.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's amazing.
We're at 15 years sober. I freaking
right. I mean, but wasn't that like terrifying at first?
Yeah. 1,000%. But you know what? I was actually thinking about this before I hopped on here. The most obvious sign of growth that I have for myself in my life today, which you shouldn't ask me this question, but I'm going to answer it for you, is that when I'm asked to do something, I just do it. Like, I didn't even listen to an entire episode of your podcast before I said yes to doing this. And that to me is like the most clear sign that I have healed a lot, because previous Lindsay would have needed to like do all kinds of research to figure that out. And it kind of goes hand in hand with sponsoring. Like, I just believe that if God brings me to it, he's going to bring me through it. And there is a reason that someone is attracted to me and asking me to sponsor them if they're doing that. And it's not up to me to know why and figure that out. It's up to me to show up for them in the way that I was shown up for. And I've never had a perfect sponsor. That's the truth. I don't think they exist. And if I hold myself to some level of perfection, all I'm doing is robbing myself of the opportunity to help someone else that needs help. So like letting go of the perfection part of it and just showing up like where I'm asked to show up, right? And like, there's a reason and a purpose for everything that we're asked for in our lives.
Exactly. And we didn't realize that we were going to be here one day helping other people.
Definitely didn't have this on.
It's not on my bucket list.
My vision board. Maybe I did, you know? Who knows? I didn't make vision boards when I was drunk. I was drunk. So
True. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I mean, like, people like me and you and everybody else that, you know, has quit drinking and didn't think that there was a life outside of drinking. There really is. And here we are. You're sponsoring people. I'm reaching out to people all around the world. And it's just, I think that helps people like me and you stay sober, or, you know.
I mean, when your sobriety is like not just yours anymore, it puts a little more pressure on there, you know? Like, yeah.
It does. Absolutely. I could talk to you for hours, but I've appreciated you sharing your story. Definitely gonna have to have you on again without all the glitches. Can you hear me still?
It actually glitched.
Oh my gosh.
We're good now. We're good.
Thank you, Lindsay, for coming on. And you have an Instagram that, do people follow you on?
Sure. I have two, but the one that I would want
public.
people to follow me on is at her_feathers.
Her_feathers.
Mm-hmm.
And for people for people in your area, because I have tons of people in like that Portland, Washington, like all that whole entire area. But I hope that somebody can connect with you. Come to your coffee shop. What was it called again? Hillbilly
Beans.
I love it. Hillbilly Beans. And then you said South. Remind me your
South Bay Serenity.
South Bay Serenity. Awesome. South Bay, like Bay.
Yes,
Okay.
like water.
So we've got South Bay Serenity, Hillbilly Beans, and then her_feathers. And I mean, everybody go find her.
Ship.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.